Hi, and welcome to Hypnosis Health Info. I'm Roger Moore. I'm a medical hypnotherapist with an office in Palm Desert, California, and I have clients online worldwide. And I'm just really excited today to have as my guest Dr. Nancy Meggins, also known as Dr. Nancy.
Hi.
And hi, Nancy. And Dr. Nancy has just published her new book, Mastering the Health Continuum. And Dr. Nancy is a double board certified doctor of chiropractic. Her advanced credentials are in anti-aging medicine and chronic pain management. She's also an advanced fellow, completing the prestigious fellowship in anti-aging, metabolic, and functional medicine. And Dr. Nancy has spent over 30 years helping health seekers take the guesswork out of their diet and lifestyle approaches that are best for their unique body. Her system strategizes strategies and solutions inspire these individuals to reclaim power over their health and increase their health certainty. In her new book, she breaks down the science and transforms it into a why that motivates action. Her heartfelt compassion and shameless approach inspires an I can do this attitude. And she promotes a radical gradualism approach to complete health transformation. And so welcome, Dr. Nancy.
I'm so happy to be here.
And well, I must say I just so very much appreciate your book because I love how you explain the science behind how the body works, how disease and stress are related, and how to give your body what it needs to heal. And what I love so much is you do it so it was easy to understand and yet in such thorough terms.
Well, thank you.
So what prompted this book?
So in my time in healthcare, it just seemed that patients would always come to me as a last resort. Oftentimes they'd already seen a medical doctor, a physical therapist, a massage therapist. They tried diets and exercise programs, and yet they still weren't achieving the results that they wanted. And oftentimes they were still in pain. And so I always felt that they were coming to my office and they came with all their broken parts, dumped them on the table and said, okay, fix me. And expected this overnight miracle because they didn't understand that the choices that they were making throughout their life was leading them down this path, and that their crisis of the moment actually was building for years and years. And so I thought there has to be a better way to communicate really the power that you have as an individual to really have that influence over your health and well-being. So I wrote a book.
Awesome. And I really wasn't even going to talk about this, but I first met Dr. Nancy 30-some years ago and went to her for chiropractic care. And, when I talk about my own health journey, you're one of the people that I refer to as having saved my life. At one point, I weighed 260 pounds, 120 pounds more than I do today.
I remember that.
And it was through your encouragement and showing me a healthier way of eating and making it possible that I did not end up, I was pre-diabetic. They were threatening me with blood pressure medications and all kinds of crazy stuff. And that was, I took the weight off 26, 27 years ago, and I've kept it off ever since. And that's in large part due to you. So thank you very much for that.
Well, I appreciate that. However, I think the key part is that you took action and you continued to take action. They were your choices, and, you get to reap the benefits from your hard work.
I do. Yeah, and it's a choice. It's a daily choice. It's a mouthful by mouthful
Yeah,
choice.
exactly.
So, tell me what do you mean by a new paradigm?
So I think that uh, people, for the most part, they think when they get a diagnosis, that day is the day that they got the disease. And in actuality, it didn't happen that day. It happened much earlier. So a new paradigm is considering that, one, you have more control over your health than what you've been led to believe. Two, that the daily choices you make every day, um, those are the consequences that you live with. And those choices, they either bring you closer to health or closer to disease. And the health continuum is this spectrum where, you're in a constant battle, really, with disease every day. Um,
Hmm.
and, that sounds negative, but it's really not meant to be negative. I mean, the reality is we've got all these different stressors, chemical, physical, emotional, both perceived and real. And those things are the things that really impact us on a cellular level. And that's what either creates the environment that promotes disease or promotes health.
So, in your book, you talk about 8 practices that you've identified that help with this daily journey and this moviness and keep moving closer towards health and wellness. So, would you tell us what these practices are and why you chose them?
Sure. Um, the 8 practices really have stemmed from the thousands of patients that I've worked with over the years and the questions that they would come in asking. And really, the practices themselves aren't complicated or new. It's, I think, the idea that it's a practice and that it takes daily effort and daily consciousness around them to really achieve your best results. And so
Yep.
the 8 practices are hydration, uh, oxygen, really breathing, not just like I breathe every day, but
Right.
breathing with intention, um, nourishment, sleeping, zen, calm, being stressed, less stressed, um, moving, um, moving, purifying, so removing the toxins as much as you can from your environment, and
Uh-huh.
practicing gratitude.
I particularly love well, I love them all, but the gratitude one because I've been writing a lot about gratitude lately. I've been talking for years about how critical healthcare reform is. And by that I mean that we're each responsible for reforming our own healthcare. And you wrote in Mastering the Health Continuum, which is, I don't think we mentioned that's the name of your book, Mastering the Health Continuum. You're responsible to lead and guide your children to adopt healthier habits. I hope you're not still thinking that our current healthcare system or Social Security program will provide you with an actual health outcome. And through the current healthcare system, our doctors can only treat and manage disease. They're not managing your wellness. And I just, that so excited me when I read that. And then you went on to say that normal does not mean optimal.
Yep.
Wayne Dwyer talked about stepping out of the pack. And so often when I'm working with folks on weight loss or any illness or disease, and I talk about the importance of the changes that we make within ourselves and not only our thoughts and our emotions, but lifestyle choices, food choices, And it's learning how to be different than the 67% of the population that's overweight. But as Wayne Dyer said, do it in such a way that they don't notice.
Right. Right.
To step out of that pack.
Right.
You write that no plan is destined to fail. You offer a self-care plan. So will you tell us a little bit about that self-care plan?
So, really, you do have to have a plan. You have to move through your day with intention. It's easy to get caught up in the habits that you've developed throughout your life, and what works for you doesn't necessarily work for everybody. You know, everybody's had their own unique life journey. Everybody's had their own unique exposures. They've made their own decisions. So they're in a unique situation, and not one size fits all, ever. And so, you know, identifying really where your starting point is critical in knowing what your next step should be. So throughout the book, I have different ways that you can measure and evaluate yourself so that you can create that starting point or identify that starting point. And then from there, you can go, okay, now for me, where I am at, this is what I need to do next. And some people, that may be you need to focus on sleep first. Some people, it could be pH. Some people, it could be you just need to get up and move. So each individual has their own, really their own unique path. Did that answer your question?
One of the things one of the things you did was you laid out a time plan or a planner.
Yes.
That can help the reader figure out their own schedule, their own plan, their own way of giving that self-care to themselves. And that's such a valuable tool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Most people have no clue how to do that.
Yeah. Well, and it seems daunting too. And really, like when you go through the book and you go, oh my gosh, there's these 8 things and there's all this stuff that I don't know, and you know, where do I start? Really, the point is just start. You need to take a step and then worry about the next step after you take the first step. Because otherwise, it's like analysis paralysis and nothing ever changes. And I say throughout the book, I mean, really give yourself some grace. There's so much emphasis now on comparison. Like, I'm going to compare myself to all of these celebrities or people on Facebook or Instagram or, you know, the reality TV shows. And that's not you. You know, you're unique. No. You are you. You're beautiful how you are. There isn't a you need to change who you are or what you are or anything. It is you achieving what your goals are. And that requires that you take action and not really compare yourself to anybody else. Maybe look for inspiration, but the work comes from you, the decisions come from you. You know, it all comes down to you.
As you talk about that, I'm reminded of that. You know, our body is created to be healthy. It's created to heal. And you write that about the miracle of our innate intelligence.
Yes.
And that you are a miracle, and that there's no one else like you on the planet, and there never will be. Can you share more of your thoughts on this?
Sure. So in the book, I go into detail, and I have to say the editor was like, really? You need to have this in the book? And I'm like, I think so. Because I don't know that people really pay attention to this or even consider it. And so I go through the process of, you know, these 2 half cells, they come together, they unite and spontaneously start to divide. They're randomly dividing. It is like a mass of cells without any specialization at all. And then on day 16, 17, a primitive streak appears, and that's the first sign of specialization. And that's your spinal cord. And through this process of cell division, then, the brain forms at one end, the nerves start to spread out to the sides, organs form at the end of the nerves, bones form around to protect the organs in the nervous system. And throughout this whole process and the millions and millions of cell divisions, you just think about how many things could go wrong. And
Yeah.
yet a baby is born and it's just like, wow. I mean, they're perfect. They're perfect every time.
Yeah.
And even when you think, oh, they're not perfect, they really are perfect, you know? And so
Yeah.
you are a miracle. And I think that we often overlook that or disregard it or forget it. It's not acknowledged. And, you know, I think we need to celebrate our uniqueness and really pat ourselves on the back for being us, you know?
And and that just so excited me to read that in your book and help just draw me in to continue on reading. So thank you for making sure that that was included in your book. And you explain it with detail and yet with a simple elegance so that it's just so understandable.
Thanks.
But would you tell a little bit about, you referenced the healing crisis. What do you mean?
So oftentimes when we go to make a health change, you know, if you've ever, you know, changed your diet, like I know you have, if you've ever done a cleanse, if you've ever fasted, if you've ever really focused on your hydration and started drinking a lot more water, sometimes you get, or tried to stop drinking coffee. That's a great one. A lot of times you get headaches. You might get diarrhea, stomach upset, nausea, aches and pains. That is what the healing crisis is. And most often people will go, I'm not feeling good. This must not be right for me. And they stop. And in actuality, it's likely that because you have this accumulation of toxins that have built up in your body over time, and when you go and you release weight, take in a lot more water where you're actually, you know, starting to flush out and make your drainage systems work more efficiently. This can liberate those toxins and circulate them again and cause you to not feel so great for a few days. That doesn't mean you should stop. It means you should definitely keep going because
it's working.
Because it's working. Yeah. And so, you know, stick with it.
And will you briefly tell a little bit about radical gradualism, which was a term I'd never heard before?
I can't remember where I first read that, and I was like, that's me. So, again, you know, you look and you go, okay, there's 8 practices in this book. And you go, okay, I know I don't drink enough water, and I'm not intentionally breathing, and I don't eat right, and I rarely exercise, and yeah, I'm surrounding myself with toxins and eating a lot of toxins, and I'm not very grateful, and, you know, I never sleep. Okay, so, and you go, all this change it's overwhelming. And so
Yep.
I'm going,
That's the point.
you know what? Step back and go, again, where am I starting from? What's my first step? You know, take the first step and then take the next step. You know, don't worry about the whole picture necessarily. Pick your priority, your number one priority, work towards that, and then reevaluate and then work towards the next priority. It's not like a sprint race. This is like a marathon, and it's something that is like throughout your life. It's not like, oh, I did this and now I'm done. That's why they're called practices.
Yeah.
We always had this joke, well, kind of, yeah, joke in practice where we would say it's called practice, not perfect, you know,
Exactly.
because
Yep.
again, it takes time and effort and consistency and, and it's doable. You just,
Well, and it's doable, as I always tell my clients, at one breath at a
yeah,
time. So, Dr. Nancy, where can folks find Mastering the Health Continuum?
it's the ebook and paperback are available on Amazon. And you can just type Mastering the Health Continuum in the search bar, and there it is. Seems the Kindle, if you go to Kindle Book and you search it there, it's more straightforward. So, yeah.
Awesome. Okay. And your website?
www.drnancymiggins.com. And
There it is here in the chat box.
yeah. Yeah, and that's got information. I have a blog. You know, you can sign up to be part of the tribe and get updates and news about upcoming events and blog posts and things like that.
That's so great. Well, Dr. Nancy, thank you so much for writing this book that tells us how we can increase our quality of life and our health span so that we can age more gracefully. And just thank you for sharing this time with us today.
Thanks.
Folks, I'm Roger Moore here at Hypnosis Health Info.